be going in and out. I just
Okay. Try refreshing and then let's try refreshing and maybe that'll correct the issue. So, all right. All right. So, as we wait for Brooklyn to come back, I want to thank everybody who's listening right here on Get Vocal as well as Indie Radio and Facebook and all the different platforms that they're listening to. Thank you guys so much. And I want to go to you, Shannon. Did you stream yesterday?
I did.
Yeah. How did your stream go?
I think it went pretty good. I mean, you know me, I like to ruffle feathers.
Oh, did you?
You feather
Like
ruffler.
to challenge people's thinking. I usually come up with the unpopular opinions. I don't like to follow the marching of everyone else's drum.
Well, if anybody want to check it out, they can just go to your Facebook page. So,
Of course.
yeah. All right. So I want you to tell us what this topic is all about.
Well, we're in the summer series of mating and dating and maybe cohabitating if we get there. So today we're talking about the art of conversation and how important it is for dating. We talked briefly about dating amidst the pandemic, but how important it is even more so to fine tune that conversation. Is it a lost art? Given social media trends and norms, has the conversation changed? Does it matter what generation you're from in the type of conversation you have and how you engage people? It's a whole bunch of stuff to unpack in the art of conversation as it relates to dating.
Okay. Awesome. I love it. So where you want to start off with?
Well, I mean, let's start with the obvious. Who on the panel is actually dating amidst this pandemic?
I don't think anybody is dating during the pandemic right now.
Oh, you lie. People date in the pandemic.
I've been on a couple of dates.
Really? COVID dates?
I mean, I wouldn't call it a date. Like one person, like they already had their COVID test result. The other person was sort of like a socially distant thing, but I wouldn't say I'm dating like heavily.
Okay.
I've been on like 2 dates.
Oh, okay. All right.
I mean, I'm here for that.
All right. I don't know, man. It seems like everything has to be very distant. You know.
But I just told somebody last night. I was like, COVID be damned. Like my inbox is full right now. It's like they want to meet up. They want to see. They want you to come by. They want to Netflix and chill. They want to go to the one restaurant that you can dine in. Like these men don't care.
Well, your DM box, I'm sure it stays full.
Whatever.
I was like, mine's dry. So hats off to you, man. Hats off to you.
I mean, I think yours is dry due to your location, but that's another story.
Yeah, we can unpack that because that's going to end. That's going to change in about 4 months.
One thing that I want to talk about is the art of conversation, but in terms of pre versus post, like social media influence.
Yeah.
And if you're old enough to speak to that, you know, because some people aren't. They were just born in the age of social media. You know, they came of age during that age. I think it's quite different. What do you think?
Well, I think we come from a generation of dial-up. I mean, at least I do. I used to run home to dial to get on the computer. You know, after I finish my homework, AOL, You've Got Mail, and for me, it wasn't nothing like a chat room. I talked to people all over the country in those chat rooms. Nothing extra or inappropriate, but just meeting people, finding out what they did for a living. And I was in high school, having a good time on the computer. Today, I don't know. I meet a lot of people via social media, but I don't take a lot of people serious via social media. Because people type and become a myriad of different things besides themselves on the internet. And then when you meet them, you like, wait a minute. You are not who you were posting. You are not who you typed to be. That's just my 2 copper coins. I could know nothing, but
I think it definitely has changed things. I mean, we're definitely in the swipe right or left culture. But for me, I mean, I've been online dating since like the late 90s. So you actually had to like keep up a conversation. Long distance was not free. You know.
Yeah.
You talked, it had to be meaningful. You had to mail them your picture if you didn't have a scanner.
Yep.
So, I mean,
we old.
I mean, I'm old. So, I mean, and of course, prior to that, you actually just had to talk to people. So now it's more of a, I don't even want to talk to you on the phone. Let's just text.
Yes, I hate it.
So
I hate it.
The couple of things I take issue with in today's like online dating, if you're talking about that, is like, number one, it's very difficult to hold someone's attention because of the swipe right culture. Number two, one thing I'm intentional about when I'm talking to someone online, let's say we both are a match. When they ask me something, I'll answer and ask something in return.
Yeah.
Keep the conversation going, or at least say something thought-provoking that would lend itself to further conversation. When all I get is what are you doing? Oh, I'm good, did a little bit of work, what about you? Oh yeah, I work, period. Okay, well, so what kind of work do you do? I work in a warehouse, period. So then like after the third period, then I get frustrated because now I'm like, I'm pulling teeth here. Like, what are we doing? Like, you don't inspire me to want to be in your presence for more than 10 minutes because you don't seem very fun. Like, you seem kind of dry, kind of boring.
That's a whole fact, ma'am. What do you think, Kente? I see you smirking over there.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of times guys try to keep it kind of quiet or keep it not put a whole lot of information out there. One is you got to keep track of the BS you're saying, and then also is you really are just trying to fill out what it is, what the deal with her, right? So a lot of times you're like, I think a lot of guys don't keep track of what they're saying. So you have a lot of that issue. Sometimes it's just the guys ain't that interesting. And there's also this thought for some guys that the more you talk, the more you will put yourself in a bad way. So you're better to keep your answers short. And women like to be heard, right? So just let her do all the talking, and you throw in that, yeah, you know what? Yeah, you're right. And so I think a lot of guys take that point of view, you know what I mean? I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but that's just what they do. So, not everybody has quote unquote game or have such a great personality in which they can, just talk very good.
This is the other thing. Is like, that's why I like men who I would say have lived, because you have to talk about, you have stories to tell, you have interest in your life, diverging paths, and where you could have, the road less, not travel. Like you have some things that you could say, well, if I had made this decision, my life would have been totally different. And I like that. I like people who have lived, who lived in a different city, have changed careers. What did it take for you to do that? How you have kids, like how was it, being a new father, like getting adjusted, like anything, like can be, can basically put some notches on the belt to enhance the conversation and give me some insight into your personality, your backstory, and kind of who you are. If the conversation is kind of dry, then number one, that's boring, like just a regular level. Number two, you're kind of hard to get to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really interested. I'm really interested in hearing Brooklyn's take. So I have a notepad and pen. So, like, what is your strategy or whatever? Are you just being your natural self when you go on a date, as far as conversational?
Can you guys hear me? Because
yeah,
I'm hearing you guys kind of sporadically.
Really? Yeah, I hear you.
We can hear you.
So quiet because I can't hear.
Yeah, we hear you just fine, man.
We can hear you great.
I went on vocal, and I hear everyone clear.
That's strange. Yeah, I don't even know what to say. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is your strategy when you go on date?
I can hear you. You're kind of going in and out. Just repeat the question.
Okay. So what is your strategy when it comes to go on dates as far as conversation wise? Or do you have one, or you just be yourself?
What is my strategy when it comes to
dating, like, first dates and all that?
Dating?
Yeah. First dates.
So as you said, guys like to lean back and let the woman talk a whole bunch, but you still have to display your own personality. Like Stephanie was saying, someone has to know that you're, not a kawaii, that you really are a fun guy. And the first date is the perfect place to display, who you really are. And, the first date is a gift because you should be yourself. And then if the other person is into that, great. And if they're not, great. Like, I'm not someone into being with you or present a front that's false. You're nice enough, charming enough, handsome enough, what have you, for someone.
Okay. So let me ask this question to the ladies on the panel. So what do you suggest guys do? Okay, he's fortunate enough to get a date with Shannon or Stephanie, and he's on this first date, right? What would you suggest if you were as far as because you often hear different things like don't talk too much, let her, like I said, let her do most of the talking. What are you looking for? What is it that you're looking for when you go on a date? Steph,
you want to go first, Steph?
Yeah, go, Steph.
Yeah, I can't really quantify that, but it's just I'm looking for chemistry, and unfortunately, I'm looking for instant chemistry. But that doesn't always happen. It's just a certain je ne sais quoi. I'm looking for someone that can, hold a conversation. Hopefully within some moments, he'll make me laugh. But it's not like this dude better be funny. It's not like that. It's more like I hope he has a good sense of humor. And And hopefully he's into something that I'm not necessarily into, so that way he can teach me something. Like maybe he's into, I don't know, like Brooklyn classic BMW. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. You know, you can put me on some blame. You know, I like somebody who has hobbies and interests. What I do, so we don't have to be exactly alike, you know.
Yeah.
And in terms of just like the ebb and flow, you know, when those quiet moments come, it has to feel comfortable. I don't want it to feel awkward. Now, that's probably a tall order for a first date, but if we do feel comfortable in those quiet moments, then that's a plus. That's a good sign. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And after Shannon says her piece, I want to say something to that. But go ahead.
I totally agree with mostly everything she said. I think the art for me, and I think Stephanie might agree with this, is that this isn't like a cold call date. This isn't like we just met, we've never talked before. I'm assuming we have some history, like over the phone, maybe FaceTime or something or another before we go on this date. Mm-hmm. So there should already be some ebb and flow, some chemistry, some mutual understanding of one another. And so for me, I too want it to be organic. I want it to be naturally flowing. I do want there to be some ease in the silence. I do want someone who can crack jokes, whether it's at other things or themselves or even me. I'm a little petty, so I can roll with the best of them. I like some sarcasm. I like to people watch. I like to eat tacos. I mean, you can't really go wrong if you include food. But I am also like Stephanie. I do want you to have things that are different than what I have going on in my life, so that we can show each other interest outside of our life, so that we can take each other on adventures that differ from what we normally do. I do not want anyone that's exactly like me. And be authentically you. Let's have good conversations about life and all that's in it. And then we can sit and talk about how rapidly somebody across the table is as we people watch. I don't know.
What if you're authentic?
And then I might ask you.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
No, I said, and then I might ask to eat off your plate because I do that too.
What if your authentic views is boring?
Mine or theirs or both?
I'm talking about the guy you're going on a date with. Great guy, you know, just a little on the boring side of the game.
I think there are probably levels to boring.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on if he's like a 9 to 5, I could write his schedule by what he does, or he has no interest, no hobbies, no nothing. And I'm like, so all you do is work? That would be a problem.
What if he just needs a Shannon to unlock his inner non-boring self?
You sound like TC, one of my accountability partners. What I'll say to that is, there is nothing wrong with finding someone in your life who can help pull out things in you that didn't exist before. But I have to see some willingness to already want to do that and be that, and not just be waiting on me to show you that. Because we may not work. Then what?
That's true. And I'm gonna get Brooklyn on this too. Sometimes there's a guy I often refer to as Mr. Personality, right? And that's somebody on first glance, you know, you're gonna think he's funny, he's charming, you know, and all of that, right? And some of those guys are professional daters, right? Meaning they've read all the books, you know what I'm saying? They follow, you know, Stephanie, our guy, on what to do and what not to do. Right? So a lot of, they present well, They present well, but they're full of shit. So how do you decipher that guy who you might have a great time with, you know, and all of that, but really he's full of boo-boo? Stephanie, I really want to get your thought on that, and then we'll go to Brooklyn.
I mean, that's part of the game. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is what it is. Like, it's always disappointing to think that you met somebody really interesting and fun, and then they turn out to be some bullshit. I mean, it's not fun, but it is what it is. Like, that's how the game goes. You know, it's like, I mean, I guess I don't give a shit. Like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it sucks if you're really feeling this person, but I'm old enough to know that when a motherfucker is really charming, you know, it's some shit. There's some shit going on. Like, I know that. But the only thing that can really tell you that is time. You have to see for yourself, and you just kind of have to decide, okay, is this person? Do I get a bad vibe from this person or not? And one thing I'll say is, I hate when, like, let's say I go out with somebody and he's really charming, really fun, but I get like not a good vibe about them. And let's say I tell my girlfriends, I went on this date. This guy was really, really cool. He laid out, the red carpet for me, and he did this and that, and he was so charming and funny. But I'm not feeling it. And then your girls are like, girl, you're stupid. You should keep going out with him. He has money. He's funny. He's this and that. You can't listen to that. You got to listen to your gut. I hate when people try to sway you from your natural instincts. So you have to listen. Mm-hmm. So if you go based on your instincts about the person, and you may have to give it some time, i.e. dating is a risk. So are you risk averse? Are you willing to take moderate risk? Are you aggressive in your risk taking? You got to figure that out for yourself. Then you have to kind of align that and lay that across, like, kind of put that with people that you're dating and see how much time you're willing to give it.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Brooklyn, one thing that you do that's very fascinating is that you work with people who tend to have issues with finding people and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm sure you've met a lot of different folk. Is one of the things that you come across more so they're busy, that's why they're having issues? Is it maybe they have no game, they can't have a conversation on a date? Is that something that comes up quite often as well? Brooklyn? Brooklyn, can you hear me?
Was that for me?
Yeah, it's for you, Brooklyn. I'm talking about when you do your work with the agency.
I can barely hear you. I don't know what's happening. I got a new modem and router, and I tested it before this.
Right.
So we wouldn't have these issues.
Your work with the agency.
I think that what you were asking, let me look in the chat here. I think you're asking what happens when people don't have game?
Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
Please.
Go ahead with that
if
one.
I can find the question in the chat. Wait, someone's hooking me up. Busy, no game. Okay. The common in the matchmaking space, what I found was men and both had game. People think women don't need game, women just need to be attractive. Men need all the game. I think that all humans need game. Just like the animal kingdom is different, right? The the elk wants to have the biggest antlers, the lion wants to have the darkest mane, and people want to be the biggest and strongest. But we have to, as individuals, we want the mate, right? So when you're the opposite of your desire, they always have options, right? Because if this person is so amazing, someone else wants them, you know. And in order to wrest Shannon from the clutches of another man, Stephanie from that guy who's trying to holler in her ear, you just have to be. This is unpopular. You have to be better. This is an unpopular opinion, but here goes. You have to be better.
It's fact.
Be more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, be more masculine or what wants, right? If you are dressed and carrying yourself and doing what every other, you know, Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey clown is doing, you are not going to get the attention, the love, the adoration of that high quality woman you're looking for. It just is what it is. I mean, you can't want the best in life and want it from, you know, your couch, or want it while you're playing PlayStation 17 hours a day. I mean, you know, everybody sees the eagle or the lion or the cheetah eating, and forget all the work. They forget all the work that went into it. You know, those animals I named only get the food 20% of the time. Every time you see a cheetah chasing a gazelle or a zebra, he or she catches that thing 20% of the time. You know, anytime you see a man with a beautiful woman, that means that 80% of the time someone was like, "Get out of my face, dude." What do? Cry into your pillow? No. No, you know, you put yourself out there, and that's why, like, the art of conversation is really, for me, the art of accepting yourself. You know, I'm going to talk to this beautiful woman, and you know, it's going to be a pleasant experience. And if it doesn't work out, if we don't end up dating or getting married or, you know, have fun in some other way, that's fine. You know, there's like almost 8 billion people on the planet. You know, I mean, you know, my shirt might be stained with the tears of Stephanie saying no, but you got to move on. And it's an experience. Like everything we do is a build up to experience. And I don't understand. People get this in every other aspect of life, in business, in your career, in school, right? You know, but people really don't get it in relationships and in dating, because they have like a very romantic view, like it's supposed to work the first time and every time, and that's not real life. There's a skill set to it, and you know, everyone on this panel, I'm sure, is really good at it. Obviously, everyone here is great at communication. But I think it starts with yourself. It's just like they say, you can't make someone else happy. You have to be happy yourself. And then other people can enhance your life and you can enhance the lives of others. But
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, I think when we can't worry about what you asked Shannon earlier, I don't worry about those guys who read in a book how to talk to girls or who tried to figure out a trick. In fact, hats off to them for actually trying to learn to get better with women instead of some are evil and being angry. At least if at least they gave it a shot. They tried to do something to enhance their lives, and maybe it made them more interesting.
Yeah.
Good point. Great point.
Okay.
But okay, some people though.
That's fun, right? You want an experience, like
some people they can read. Some people they can read 100 books. Some people can have Will Smith from that movie. What was that movie? Switch. What was that movie? Switch or Hitch? Yeah, that was a song. Oh, my bad. I get mixed up. You can have a guru, all of that kind of stuff, and they just don't have a personality. They're just not that dude. So. And I'm not just trying to, only talk to the men out there because I'm sure there's women that need, help as well. But since we are talking about the guys, do you feel like it's all about who you pursue as well? Like, not to say that there's, I don't want to say that on someone's level, but do you think sometimes we go after people that's outside of the lane that we should go? Or do you feel like everybody should be a target? Stephanie.
Okay. Let's see. Okay.
And there's a reason why I'm asking you that. I'll say why after you finish talking.
I'm not saying a person has to quote unquote stay in their lane. But what I'm saying is, if you don't stay in your lane, don't get mad when you get run over. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, if we're talking about it from a spiritual perspective, I believe in being equally yoked. Okay. I think there's some foundational things that have to be the same. Like, religion, kids, money, that kind of stuff. The things that people get divorced over every day. But I also think that there's somebody for everybody. And everybody has one of my favorite movies is Camp Monster, right? Have y'all seen that? So Patrick Dempsey is a nerd, and he gets paid to, be popular and get in with the cool crowd. And anybody can be made over into something that they aren't, but is that authentic to you? So in times of stress or in times of, in turmoil, you're going to revert back to your regular nature. So, just be you. Like, okay, if you're not super cool, super suave or whatever, there is some girl that will find that attractive. Like, oh, he's so cute. Yeah. He's awkward and shit. I like him. There's somebody that will like that. You just have to go to where those girls are. Maybe they're at the library. I don't know. Maybe at their coffee shop. Maybe they're at their job. I don't know. But you have to know, you're not getting, you're not going to pull the Naomi Campbells of the world if you can't even, hello, how are you? Because you're so shy. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. The reason why I brought it up with you was because I remember you posted something on Instagram that said, before you DM me, take a look at yourself and take a look at me and see if that makes sense. And I and I cracked up. Oh,
and she
man.
meant that.
Yeah.
I mean,
She absolutely meant that.
because I mean, I feel like I might be a little bit too much for these men in Seattle. I might be a little bit too much. I already got some jilted lovers that don't even love us. I don't know. So
Yeah, that was pretty funny, I have to
Yeah.
say. So I mean, you know, and it's a tough feel for people to hear. You know, dude, she's really not in your lane, or same thing with women too. So, but then you got to. But then again, though, you got to shoot for the moon, right? So
Yeah, right.
you never know, right?
If you get hit by an asteroid, that's all I'm saying.
Right. So you got to shoot for the moon. Sometimes you get lucky and you'll get a Shannon.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
you might catch her. You might catch her at a weird point.
Or you might blow up like
At a weird point.
Yeah, where she might be like, what the hell? Okay, in your lane with what the hell? There's no such thing. You know what? Nobody wants to hear that, but there is truth to it, though. I know for some people, you can't date everybody, and not everybody's meant for you. And I'm not even talking about a class issue or a attractiveness issue or something. I just feel like there are people that are more suited for you, and I think sometimes we do go after people that are not suited for us. So, I mean, if you're really trying to get in a relationship, if you're just trying to smash, then everybody's on the table, right?
Yeah, I mean, if that's all you're trying to do, smash and grab.
Right. Then everybody's, available for that. It's just
everyone becomes more of a prospect.
Right. But if you're really trying to have something real, then you got to really be more intentional on who you are pursuing,
Absolutely. It has to make sense to you for longevity purposes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Shannon, you are someone who's very good with words, right? That's your thing, right?
Sure.
You are someone who also is hopelessly, I don't want to say hopelessly, that's terrible, is single. Would you say single?
Hopelessly?
I know, yeah. Not hopelessly.
I think you like to throw shade on the slide. And you don't even realize.
No, I don't know why. I was thinking hopelessly romantic, but anyway. No, you're single, right? And you're also, but you are someone who's very good communicator, very good conversationalist. Do you feel like, what do you think is the barrier for you as far as, the thing that makes you, because I know just by talking to you, you seem to have like a certain standard of what you're looking for, right? And I think it probably starts off with a conversation, right? Shannon?
I mean, everything starts with a conversation. But I think my biggest barrier, and Stephanie mentioned it earlier, is location. I live in Key West, Florida. That's enough to be quiet. I live in Key West, Florida. And so the ideal of talking to someone, even if you look at it from a perspective of, hey, I'm going to date somebody in Miami, that's still 4 hours away. Go up to the next biggest city, Orlando. That's 7 hours away. I had a guy try to talk to me in Tennessee. That's 18 hours away. People like the ideal of me, but not necessarily the reality of, because I live in Key West, Florida.
Mm-hmm. But you know, I mean, you can,
and I'm not just jumping to pack my bags and move to where they are either.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
but I mean, with with technology and stuff, the world is a lot smaller. So, I mean, yeah.
But it isn't. It isn't, because you can't hold hands on a computer. You can't share tacos via the computer, and at least not off their plate anyway. I mean, you can buy your own tacos and look at each other and eat tacos together, but it's not the same. And I know we're in a midst of a pandemic, so a lot of things have changed drastically, and people don't want to die, me included. I don't want to die, but everything is a risk. Put your mask on and go sit at the park. Put your mask on and go pick up a lunchbox and sit across from each other 6 feet apart. Take the risk.
Anna says, what's wrong with Key West? It sounds nice and tropical.
Key West is paradise, but paradise comes with a price, honey. It comes with a price. And there are not enough available men who meet even my age and interest brackets to even begin pursuing or being pursued by.
Yeah. Availability is the best ability, or one of the best abilities you can have. So if you're not available, or then again, you have guys that are available, but they're quote unquote not available, if you know what I mean. So it depends on if you're into that. But I don't know, man. I feel for you, Shannon. I don't know. I wonder though, like, for like, you hear from guys who complain about the women in their town, right? Like I said, with technology and stuff, you can meet women all over, right? And to me, it doesn't seem like
and that's true.
Uh-huh.
It's true, Kente. You can meet people from all over. Now, don't get me wrong. Have I talked to people since I've lived here? Absolutely. But again, that whole concept of liking the ideal of a person opposed to the reality of, because at some point somebody gonna have to piss and get off the pot.
So what happens with you? You're saying that guys will start.
You need to
go
see
ahead.
people. Like,
go ahead.
What you say, Brooklyn?
I was gonna say that you need to see people. Like, a long distance relationship only functions in the beginning. It only functions if you see the person enough to like them enough to want to start something long distance, right? And then you have what becomes not ironclad, but you have a certain interval, right? Shannon is in Key West. She meets a guy. She meets a guy on the internet. That guy, she mentioned Tennessee earlier. That guy is in Memphis, right? He makes inroads to see her. They talk, they FaceTime, they like each other. He makes inroads to come to Key West or very close to Key West to see her, right? They spend some time together. They like each other. Then he's coming, then they're going to see each other, once a month, then maybe twice a month, right? But there has to be that spark in person. You can, once you're dealing with somebody, technology is great, right? You can speak to your family on the other side of the world. You can send WhatsApp messages. You can talk on any number of apps. But the initial issue is finding the person, and this is near or far, right? This is if they're an hour away or 12 hours away. You got to find that person,
Yep.
right? Then you have to talk to that person. Then you have to do something visual, like a FaceTime with that person. Then you have to meet that person in real life, right? See how, I mean, you can't
Amen.
test drive a car over the internet. You have to see,
That's true.
you have to feel something in person. And so, like, I hear what you're saying, and those are valid points. The technology is incredible. It's amazing, right? It's why we all feel like
It's not enough.
we all feel like we've been friends for 20 years. And I have never met any of you in person, which is much to my chagrin. And we'll get that handled post-COVID. But my point is, these kind of interactions are great. You want to feel that spark in person as soon as you possibly
Oh,
can.
amen.
You
As
know,
soon as you possibly can. Say it
Say
again. Say it again.
as soon
I
as you
said,
can.
just say it again. Say it again. And I agree with that. But see, that's not my issue.
Yeah, I think
And I'm going to say this out loud
that's the
for
best.
all of the people watching. That's not my issue. I keep a bag packed. I don't have a problem going anywhere. Let me say that again. I don't have any problem going anywhere. So any man that I've talked to in the last 3 years, don't you dare open your mouth and say it was Shannon why we didn't work out. Because I show up for what I want. Just saying.
You better tell them.
Well,
I just got
Just saying.
I just got a text from one of those guys. They said it was
they
all
can't talk their
Shannon.
way out of that one.
They said it was all Shannon.
That's a lie.
Well,
I look, I got receipts. That's a lie.
Well, Shannon, I think when you say, well, they like the idea of me, not actually me, I mean, I can relate to that. But I think it's not even just you. I think people like the idea of being in a relationship, but they don't like the idea of the work that it will take to maintain said relationship.
That part. And that is probably the most accurate statement into what I was saying. You are absolutely right. I don't think people want to enjoy the chase or the ebb and flow, the art of the conversation, flirting on the internet and text messages and DMs. But when it comes down to, oh, let's put feet to this, let's make this thing work, let's go to the next step, let's get real about what we say we've been doing or what we've been talking about for 6, 11, 22 months. Like, now what?
Okay.
I don't like to do a whole lot of air and space. Like if we're moving in the right direction, then let's move there. If not, let's just be friends. If you need a pen pal, say that. I got you. But please, let's not waste each other's time.
Yeah, I've been in enough serious long distance relationships. I mean, serious, where I moved and had a baby. So to know what it takes. And it takes sacrifice. And I think
It
that
does.
sacrifice is one of the hallmarks of knowing when a man is really into you. Whatever that sacrifice is, whether he moves or you move and he makes provisions for you to move, you know, in said long distance relationship, you know. And so now, since I've already been there, done that, I know what it takes. You can miss me with all the, you know, I really like yous and cute and I wish you could meet up. Like, call me when you're ready to see me.
Do that.
If you want to,
Yes.
then make it happen.
Yes.
I'm available. If you don't,
I agree.
don't. I mean, if you don't explicitly say,
I agree.
I'm gonna assume that you're not interested. I don't doing that dance within
100%.
from a long distance perspective. I don't like that because I've been there.
So what's the reason? What's the reason why?
Yeah, it doesn't require much.
Mm-mm. Did you say Kentucky?
What is the reason
Go
why?
ahead, Kente.
What is the reason why you think that these guys will start something up with you, and they seem to not have any intention of?
I'm
doing
cute,
shit?
but I'm a lot of work, you know. I mean, it's the same.
Real facts.
It's the same reason why a man will go on a date with a woman, and he'll figure out that, okay, I'm not going to be able to fuck tonight. I'm going to actually have to really date this woman, like get to know her, and like spend some money.
Yep.
Let me weigh this out and see if what the ROI is on it. Okay, because I was really hoping I could fuck tonight. It's the same principle.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
For real.
I'm trying to think. Have I done that?
Do I want
And not that there aren't people, but there are people. Go ahead.
No, go right ahead, Shannon.
No, all I was going to say is that we also live in a culture where people don't have to be in relationships. Even though they like the idea of that relationship, they don't have to be. And so when the rubber starts to meet the road and it's like, okay, are we doing this? People are like, no, I like you just while we're flirting, or I like you while we're texting, or, sending each other photos, or checking on each other during our work day. That whole idea of, oh, this is cute, but don't ask me to do any work because that's not about to happen.
Yeah. Don't ask me to sacrifice any money.
There's a thrill to that.
If a man is interested in a woman, he'll sacrifice his money and his time.
Mm.
And time includes travel, because it takes time to do that.
Well,
Yep.
Things at play.
Go right ahead, Brooklyn.
I think there are a lot of things at play when people. Go ahead.
It's on
No,
you.
we're waiting on you. We are all ears.
Oh, just being polite. I think there are a lot of things that play when people are dating, and I'm talking about. I don't want to be insulting to anyone, but I'm talking about serious adults who are interested in something, right? You're dating because you're interested in finding someone. And that can take many forms, and that might be temporary, that might be more permanent. But when you are seriously dating and consist, you're looking for the best match for you and what you're trying to do, right? So I think that most people, most adults, we're not talking about kids because kids can do different things. Most adults are trying to weed out the people who they're not really interested in, find out who they are interested in, and spend a bit more time with those they are interested in. And I think that goes for men and women, right? There are men who are out to, and maybe women, definitely women, but there are men who are out to sleep with as many women as they can, or something, ambiguous like that, right? But when you are dating, you're going to find people that you are drawn to, and you're going to find the people that you have things in common with, and people who turn you on in, literally and figuratively, right? So the best course of action is everyone doesn't have same availability, right? Kente is in Los Angeles. You know, I went to Los Angeles for my birthday a couple of years ago. So like December 2018, I was in Los Angeles, and there were beautiful women everywhere, like everywhere, like it. So, you know, some of these, sometimes when we have these conversations and we see that Kente can't relate to us, it's because, you know, the man is a shark in a tank full of fish. But for everyone else, everywhere else in America, you know, we have to have a strategy, and we have to seize opportunity. So yeah, you know, when I want to say another thing about the guys that you guys talked about, you know, being on first dates or guys flaking out and doing, you know, weird things. All of that is a gift. Whenever someone shows you early that they're not dependable, or they're only on thing, they're a weirdo way, or they're just shady or flaky, that's a gift. I mean, you can't, it's like winning, or you can't do better than finding out someone is not for you early. You know, there's like
Facts.
there's like 10 much more horrible ways to find out someone is not for you, right? You know,
Yep.
how many people get left at the altar, left with kids after a marriage for a few years, all kind of, you want to know as quickly as possible if this
Soon as
person
possible.
is,
Yep.
you know, either trash or just not for you.
Agreed. You want to figure
Very
that crap
true.
out right away. So, no, you know, it's funny too, and it's all about mentality. Like, I would get frustrated when I would, you know, find out something early negative that would, you know, affect whether we were going to be together or not. But then I started looking at it as a gift. Like, it's better to find out now than down the line, right? So, and
Yeah.
I think one thing that's important about dating is asking certain questions. And I think if you ask a certain questions, it's not even just about the answer they give you, it's about the way they answer. Because sometimes people's words are not the end all be all, right? Because people say what they sometimes they feel.
Yeah.
You know, because the one question women love to ask is, where do you see yourself in 5 years, right? So if you're a dickhead, all you got to do is figure out the answer that she wants to hear, you know. But if it could be a bunch of bullshit, right? But it's been like, you know, so what do you really gain from that if somebody is just like, if they know, if I'm going out with Stephanie, if I'm smart, I'm already feel like when she asks me that kind of question, I'm gonna probably expect that kind of question. So I know I can't be like saying some bullshit because she's gonna, you know, react negatively to it. So it's not always about what people actually say. Sometimes you can read them, even though while they're saying bullshit, you can read them, and you don't even have to call people on it. Like, I don't call people on BS always. You know, I let them think that they're pulling one over. You know, sometimes, because all they're gonna do is act like they're insulted that you would think that they would blah 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 blah. You know, so who cares about that? But I think asking the right questions is very key. So I want to go to you, Stephanie. Obviously, I've never been on a date with you, Stephanie, so I can only imagine the kind of dialogue you have on your dates. But do you intentionally ask certain questions to kind of, not just the do you have any siblings or that kind of crap, but I mean like questions to kind of figure out, what kind of person they are and, and all of that kind of stuff. Do you have some things that you just do on your dates?
I don't have a script. No. I mean, feel like I'm naturally good with talking to people, like in an intimate setting. I'm fine with that. Even though like people may be as a little bit shy, I don't have a shortage of things to talk about. I guess I ask questions about like preliminary questions like, are you employed? Do you have kids? I mean, if I don't know already, or how much time do you spend with your kids? What is your work schedule? Because there's just some, if you got like 6 kids and he works 7 days a week, it might not work out. Like, it's like money and he doesn't have any time. You know what I'm saying? So, like, those kind of things you want to find out. Now, I don't delve too much into their psyche and things like that. I'm really just trying to see if I can stand being in your presence for more than 30 minutes. And if we have some sort of sexual tension. Mm-hmm. That's really what I'm looking for. And then from there we can keep going, getting to know each other. But I don't have like, well, if I ask him where, like I have to ask him, where do you see yourself in 5 years, or, do you, like, I will ask things like, especially if they're recently divorced, I'll ask them if they see themselves getting married again. I will ask that. Or if they want more kids, because I'm not, if they just dead set on having kids, it might not be a match.
Wait, is the shop closed?
It's almost shut down.
Oh,
wow.
Uh-oh.
The door is closing down. So there's some things I may ask, but it's not like a set script. Like if I ask this question, he has to answer this way, or else, it's a wrap. I mean, I just kind of want to get a feel for the person, just like where they're coming from, like who they are, and see from there. It has to be more organic than that for me.
If you ask them, do they want some kids, and they say, oh yeah, I would love to have some more kids, and then you're like, oh well, I don't want any more children. He's like, I don't know if I want kids.
I mean, maybe he'll change his mind for the right woman. I don't know. People have changed their mind and been open to having kids for the right person. Why can't it be the opposite?
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
It can happen.
Yeah,
Who knows?
all that.
It can happen. Welcome to the show, brother
And I can't
Ryan.
have kids. So, I mean, hey, Ryan.
Hey, how's it going?
All right. So,
Good.
Ryan, you've been listening to this conversation, and you had some input that you wanted to give.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like, like just listening to it just gives me a lot of stress. Because we all, like, I'm single, but I've been talking to women offline, etc., and whatnot. And one of the things that I kind of did for myself this year was I stopped kind of focusing on the checklist and just, started focusing on, friendship, because how many of us actually, we put a lot of energy in trying to weed out who we want as our life partner, but how many of us are actually just trying to be friends with a person, to get to know them without being defensive or being on the offensive? You know what I mean? Because like, that's kind of what's working for me, because I'm, my energy's down. I'm not like, there's no energy, there's no strong energy of wanting to be a part of anything. And, even though the idea of being in a relationship is there, like I want to be in a relationship. I want to be with someone that aligns with a lot of things that I'm into. Even if someone could be vegan, that would be even better. Like, there's a lot of factors, but at the same time, like, you know, I went on a date with this girl probably about a month ago or 2 months ago, and or around May, and it didn't work out between her and I, but she was probably one of the best dates that I've had in like 10 years. She was everything. She checked off everything on my list, but we just focused on friendship first. We were friends for 10 years on my, you know, because I met her on a dating website, but nothing never happened. And she was Facebook friends with me for 10 years before we tried to go on the date. And the date was fantastic because, you know what? She knew me on another level. And we didn't talk on Facebook. She just observed what I was doing and stuff like that and said, you know what? I want to go on a date with you. And like, I didn't approach her, she approached me. And I think that sometimes, like, when people get to know, because I'm an introvert, for me, it takes time for people to get to know me, right? And there's a lot of things, you know, it took me a few years to get to know Kente, Shannon, Brooklyn, and, you know, and Stephanie. Like, it took us years to kind of get to know each other at this level. So I think sometimes we put a lot of energy and a lot of negative energy. It's like, you know, what we want out of a partner is always tied to negative ideals, because we want to have the partner that has their shit together, because we don't want to be in a situation where the person doesn't have their shit together, instead of us just trying to figure out whether we like the person just as a friend. You know, I was in and out of,
absolutely.
I was in and out of a relationship with you know, with this one girl, this recent relationship. We're still friends. She came over last night, made me dinner, but we're still friends. And I said, you know what? Why don't we just work on our friendship first? Because we can't obviously be in a relationship together, but why don't we just work on the friendship? We went to therapy, all the kinds of stuff. And I just realized it's like, you know what? We just don't know how to just talk without having, you know, the preconceived notions behind us. Like, not preconceived, but having all these layers and barriers to our heart. Why don't we just open up the heart, but don't commit to a relationship and don't put ourselves in that situation? If the friendship is cool, then take it to the next step. Because if you think about courting back in those days, we didn't have internet. You know, we were forced to be friends. We were forced to get to know people. And if we go even back before that, you look at our people, like, we were in tribes. We knew who the people were in the neighborhood that we wanted to be with before we got into a relationship with them. Now, we are so dispersed. We're so fragmented. Our lifestyles, we work, you know, and we work 12 hours a day coming home. And then the last thing we're doing is swiping right and swiping left. I think it's the most unnatural aspect of dating, is not getting to know the person as a person rather than a checklist. But that's just my opinion. I'm not saying all this philosophy is working for me most of the time, but I'm feeling that my stress level is down. You know, I don't feel as like I'm in a race anymore. You know what I mean? To find somebody. I'm just getting to know the women that I'm talking to, and I think it's cool.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
I agree with that. Right?
Maybe I'm strange because I don't feel like I don't have a even though I'm getting pretty old. I don't have a I don't have. You know what? Aren't you older than me? I think you got me by like 3, 4,
Negro.
3, 4, 5, 6 years.
Them are big fat lies.
3, 4, 5, 6 years.
I think I am the second youngest person. I think I'm the second youngest person on this show right now. I think Ryan is the youngest.
No, Stephanie's the youngest, I think, right?
Lies you tell.
Stephanie the youngest.
But okay,
then me,
nice try.
Then me, then Ryan, then Brooklyn, then you, the oldest. But anyway,
Your mom.
I don't know. I don't know. I've never had like a I've never tried to look for women. Like I've never like when I say tried to look for women, I don't mean like obviously if you go to a club and you're trying to, score, I guess you are looking for women, but I mean like I've never like I guess tried to like date like dating websites and all that kind of good stuff. They just kind of fall into your lap, situations. So I don't know, maybe it's
they fell on your lap.
I mean, that sounds like a hoe, but okay.
No, I mean like it just kind of happens, right? Like you're at the
but everybody doesn't have that. Like, everybody has. A lot of people have to be way more intentional about dating.
Like it's like you go to the grocery store. It's like, oh, she looks nice in the frozen food section, or you're, I guess if I was in the South, the Piggly Wiggly or whatever you guys go to,
Who
So,
gonna know Piggly Wiggly?
I don't know because that's y'all thing, but so I guess, and I think I've said this before. Ryan, his thing would be like the tomato festival in Canada. That's where that's where they meet up.
Disrespectful.
The Dr. Sebi meet up.
Yeah, that ain't happening here.
Well, I
I
have something that's like, I understand where Ryan is coming from as far as getting to know people, but at the same time, I don't have time to be friends with somebody for 10 years before we get it popping. Like I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
You don't gotta be friends
really
with someone for 10 years. Like that was not a situation that I think that was just an anomaly. It was like by luck that we hooked up. But I think that we should have the time to be friends. You know what I mean? There should be a time to just be friends with somebody before we get to know them. Because, like, for example, you, Steph, I think that, like, you are an introvert. It took a lot of us time to get to know you and your personality and who you are as an individual. I think that, I think in order for someone to truly love, especially introverts, in order to someone to truly love us, they have to know us. Because I'm layered. I got so many layers. And you're not going to hear that in a first conversation with me, not a second conversation, not a third date. And, and let's just be real. Can we cuss?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, sure.
Friends can fuck. I mean, at the same time, it's like they can. If it gets there, they can. But I think that the friendship part of it and just having fun without having that idea, because all of the things that we want in a partner stems from bad relationships that we've had, or what we've seen with our parents, or what we've seen in other relationships that we don't want. And like it goes back to this whole Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, the whole entanglement issue. We put so much emphasis on one couple to be the poster child for what a good relationship entails. And when they mess up, then we're all clowning them because we're like, haha, you're just like us. I know that Black love is so important. Black love is important, and having families together is so important. But there are generational trauma in our community, especially. There's a lot of things that we've seen with our parents, either our parents splitting up or our parents, or domestic abuse or whatever the problem may be. And we carry that into relationships. And therefore, at the end of the day, I think that we just have to learn to just be comfortable in being single, but being friends, getting to know people, and letting those things go away and just having a candid conversation with someone. Because you can still be friends. You can still go out and have fun. But the fact is, I don't even think we know how to be friends.
Yeah, I'm not looking for that.
That's a valid point, Ryan.
We can be friends, but I'm not looking for some situationship. I need security. And I think that's what most women are looking for, security. We want to know the boundaries and the realms. Like, what are we doing here? Okay. Like, especially if you meet a woman that's 35 and older, we ain't got time to be trying to go bowling and then doing a friends with benefits, Netflix and chill every Friday night for 2 or 3 years. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, I only have so much time left on this earth, man. Come on now. Let's get it cracking.
What about the botanical gardens?
We can get to know each other and be friends and still be moving towards a common goal.
Yeah.
If we see fit to do so.
And I think that looks different. Absolutely. And I think, Stephanie, you're right. You're right.
I can't just, okay, we're friends and we're just fucking around, and then I'm just wandering around like no. I don't have time for that. I mean, maybe if I was 21, that's cool. I don't have any money. I don't have a real job. I'm just getting out of school, starting my career. But I'm 41, you know. And women that are 30 and plus, our biological clocks are ticking. We don't have time to be waiting around, especially if you want children. We don't have time for that. We just don't. It's just not biologically possible to wait forever.
You know what it is really though for a lot of us dudes is, guys, we're like this. When we are very comfortable in a situation, we'll stay in that situation like forever, right? And like a lot of times, like especially when we're younger, right? And shoot, when we get older. So yeah, okay, so I'm dating her. You know, we have a good time, we hang out, we do this, we do that. I'm not fully committed, you know. I'm committed, but not committed, you know. So what happens is you get very comfortable with that. That's cool. You know, you ain't had to sign any paperwork. So what happened, that's kind of what happens for a lot of us guys. And then that's how a guy can date a girl for like 10 years. And he's okay with it, you know.
Yeah,
that's her fault though. That's her fault.
Yeah. So my thing is like, I don't know, like I think you have to really understand where your mate is coming from and what they want in life. And if your goals and aspirations don't match, you gotta move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people stay in relationships that have been dead for years. I mean, just to say that they have someone. And I think that goes back to some of the stuff that Ryan was saying about our dysfunctions and our traumas and things of that nature. It's important to unpack all those things. It's important to build friendships that are of good seed and good foundation. It's also equally important to understand that we're doing this because we both agree to do this. This is a consent. We both want to pursue this thing for longevity. We want to be in a relationship that leads to marriage or to children. And you can have fun at any stage of that. But if your purpose is something deeper and bigger past that, then that conversation needs to be discussed too. And if at any time during the process of this friendship, this relationship, this whatever ship that you find yourself in, if those things change, that's going back to the art of the conversation. We need to be willing to have those conversations.
That's right.
That's the difference between being just an adult and being grown. Having those conversations about these things have changed for me, or I'm looking for more, or I want more, I desire more, I need more, or you doing too much, whatever the case may be. Right. And I think we get complacent, which is why people stay together for 10 years with nothing added to that. And that's somebody else's cup of tea, not mine. I'm not knocking somebody else's cup of tea. That just does not work for me. And so we have to be able to have those conversations. Is this what you're looking for? Is this what you want? How would you like to proceed? Is it okay if we just be friends? If we're going to pursue a relationship, are we going to have sex in this relationship? Are we not going to have sex? Is it going to be open? Is it going to be monogamous? Those are conversations that you want to have. and then show up in that.
And I think once a connection is established, it's established. Once the connection is there, it's there for life. I think that when people connect, they connect. But, there's some friends I don't want to connect with. And I'm not saying the one thing too is that, especially in our community, the people that remain single, they're single way in their 50s and their 60s, and they find somebody, and I think that when going back to, again, I'm not a relationship expert by any means, but I'm saying, like, it doesn't cost anything to get to know somebody. And
yes, it does. It costs me time.
Yes, but you know what? It's not when it comes to relationship, it's not a transaction.
It is transactional, even though you don't want to admit it.
Of your time.
Well, sure, your time, but you know what? They're people. People deserve time. People deserve patience.
I mean, okay, like all these friendships stuff, I get it. We want to be friends. That's idyllic. That's whatever. But the shit sounds so boring. Like, okay, I want to be able to talk to this person. I want to be able to do fun shit with them. I want to be able to be myself. I want to be able to laugh, make goofy faces, I don't know. If you pass at night, they won't get mad, whatever. Friendship. But what about passion, romance, chemistry, sexual tension? Like your vagina when you see a fine man and he's interesting and fun and just really, like has good conversation. What that shit? Like, there's like nobody's talking about being friends. That's cute. But then if we're just friends, I gotta listen to you talk about all the dating shit. And I don't want to hear that, because then I'm not going to want you at the end of the day. By the time you figure out that I'm the one for you, I'm turned off by you.
Facts. Big facts. I think there's room for both of those conversations. I think because Stephanie's in a different arena of where she wants to be for relationships, it looks different. I don't think either one of those things are wrong. I mean, because you guys both want two different things. And you don't necessarily want them with each other. And so I think that it all goes back to having those conversations. So if you guys sat down at this table of understanding and he wants to be friends and you like, yo, I need to know if we have at least a chemistry. Because if we don't have a chemistry, we can't be friends.
But you would feel that. You would know it. Like the thing is that there's nothing wrong with being friends. And it's not that you have a goal of being friends. It's just the fact is that what governs a strong relationship is friendship. If you can't be friends with the person that you're with, you can't get along with them and kick it with them and laugh and all that stuff, then all that other shit don't matter. You know what I mean? You can have money, you can have a good credit score, but then you get diabetes. What is the money going to do when you got diabetes and you got to amputate your foot? You know what I mean? I know a guy that has all the money in the world, but, had to, go to the hospital to amputate certain things. And you know what? Doesn't say that changes his lifestyle. But the reality is that, you can check all the lists, but then come short in some regard. Or mother dies and then goes into a depression, and then you have to deal with that. I just think that friendship is the most important thing. It's the pillar of every relationship. If you cannot.
But why does friendship have to be anti? It sounds like you're aligning friendship with and commitment are like in two different languages. I think.
Well, it's not. I think that there's layers. I think friendship is the foundation. I think that when you feel the butterflies in your stomach, when you feel good and you start to feel better about the individual, then you can have that conversation at that time. But you're not focused on the individual. You're focused on goals. You're focused on where you see yourself in your life. You're not actually focused on the person that you see.
Yeah, but everything in life is oriented. I want to make a certain amount of money at work. I want to have a business. I want a certain car. I want to live in a certain type of house. I want my kids raised a certain type of way. We have goals, and I have goals for my romantic life as well.
Sure,
I'm sorry,
but
I just do.
you can't manage people. You can't manage people. You can
And
manage
people.
things. You can manage
myself, and I can align my people, align to my goals.
Yeah, but you have everything that you want already, right? You've built your nesting. You've built your life.
No, I don't. I can't say that I have everything that I want already. It's a lot of shit that I want. Like, I want a Louis Vuitton bag right now, but I don't have it. But it might be a goal of mine.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, you can manage your career, you can manage your thing. And I think I read it in Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's like you can manage everything, but you can't. Well,
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, you can't manage people, though. You know, people are spiritual beings.
I'm not trying to manage people. I'm trying to manage myself and make sure I'm aligned with people that are aligned with me. So if you can manage 10 years, if you you can manage your own expectations, and you can communicate and, hey, this is where I'm going, this is where I want to be. Are we going to be on the same path? If not, then we definitely need to stay friends, and like platonic, not friends that are fucking. Like,
yeah,
you don't
that part.
complicate shit. That's the other thing I have a problem with this friends and we're in sex. Okay, I mean, everybody on this panel has probably had casual sex before. Everybody in the chat. Okay, fine, it happens. But everyone knows that they found themselves in a sticky situation when friendships and physical situations overlap.
Yeah,
Ours to feel somebody, and somebody is not on the same page, because emotions get involved, regardless of whether you want to. Somebody's gonna start feeling somebody more, and somebody's not gonna be ready. Yeah. That's how you. Not always, but that's the story. That's like, align yourself with somebody that. If you want to find somebody that wants to just Netflix and chill and go get sushi every now and then, and okay, that's cool. Make sure y'all on the same page. But it sounds hella boring. It sounds like we'll never figure, and it sounds like you just want to fuck me and not really commit. That's what it sounds like.
Well, you know, they say friends that sleep together stay together. So,
yeah, no, they don't.
Oh, Brooklyn is saying something.
Go ahead, Brooklyn. Brooklyn. All right. Yeah, it's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate that we're having the technical issues with Brooklyn. Maybe Brooklyn should.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Brooklyn.
His internet connection.
Yeah. Okay.
What's good?
You're good, Brooklyn. Okay. So we're having technical difficulties. Okay.
What'd you say?
No, you're good. Go ahead, Brooklyn. Oh, okay. So technical difficulties, my bad. It's very unfortunate that we're having technical difficulties with Brother Brooklyn, you know, because we always enjoy what this brother has to say. Let me do a quick chat round shout out. We'll start off with Get Vocal. In Get Vocal, we are joined by D, Anthony, Maya, Mo, Luke, and Robert. He has a different profile picture. Also on Facebook, we're joined by Anna, we're joined by Dolores, we're joined by Carlos, we're joined by let's see who else we got here. I know I'm leaving some people. Kira is here, Janet is here, Bobby's here, as well as Steven is here, And if I've left anybody out, I apologize. So Brooklyn, can you hear us now? Brooklyn.
Hey, Brooklyn.
Oh boy.
Man.
Technical difficulties. All right, let's see. Carlos, how you doing, Carlos? How you doing, man?
I shouldn't have updated my iPhone yet because we had a browser issue.
So, what do you think about this conversation we're having tonight?
It's fascinating the perspective differences between male and female. Now, me after being married for close to 20 years and now being single, entering this game or this arena of singlehood and women and the way they are, the way they think, it is fascinating in terms of how there's such a misalignment. And then it varies from woman to woman that I've met and stuff like that. So it's just fascinating to me. I like a lot of what Ryan says, but I mean, the way I look at it is just things just got to work naturally. We can try to categorize it and box it in and make it whatever we try to make it, but dating is just a blithered mess, and I don't think there's a formula for it that I've been able to notice and detect just based on speaking to male and female counterparts.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah.
It's just a mess. It either works or it doesn't work. People either want sex because that's all I hear about is sex. I mean, they like I hear the game of I want something serious and this and that, I wanted to go somewhere, but then when it comes to it, it's just about sex, and I'm like, what the hell is that about? Like saying and the action, totally different things.
I agree. But people are more honest. It's funny if you you don't have to lie. 9 times out of 10, you actually will get what you want. You can actually tell the truth. And then you can't, some people get mad when they get the truth, but at least they have the truth to deal with. So I don't know. You said it's been quite a long time, right? Since you've dated.
Since I dated? Yeah. I mean, I haven't dated anybody in 20 some odd years.
Wow. That's a long time. You were married for quite a while. So
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that start off was real.
Yeah.
Yo, I mean, I'm gonna be 50 next month, and it's no fun. I don't want to date 25-year-olds. That's all I get.
Well, sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
You don't have to do that though. Carlos, where are you located?
I'm in New York City.
Brooklyn.
Okay.
Do we got you, Brooklyn?
But
I mean,
living
I'm clear
in Atlanta,
on vocal, but I just
Can you hear us?
work with me on StreamYard.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
All right. So this is probably the best way to do it. He'll be a disembodied voice on StreamYard.
No, I did a lot of commenting, and I just want people to know that the comments were in fun. So I don't really want 4 wives, just to be clear.
No, we don't take any of that to heart.
No, it was other people, I think.
No, he wants 3.
4 or 5 is cool.
I mean, that's your business too.
No, it was a joke. It was a joke. I can barely handle 1 woman, much less 4.
I hear you.
You say that now.
Look, I hear you on that. Even though the prospect of having more than 1 husband is sort of
you don't even want that. You don't even want that, Shannon.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, it's lately.
You wouldn't respect none of them guys. You said so. Wait,
What'd you say?
Where are the 25-year-olds? All right, so Brooklyn, brother Brooklyn, you have something that you wanted to add?
I'm glad I can finally hear you guys. It's when we went on that kind of a tangent with Ryan, talking about
the friendship, like like I think that's outside of the scope of what we're talking about, because like a 10-year friend zone situation is just kind of out of the box from where we were going. I think that it's, I get most of what he was trying to say, as in people don't communicate, people don't become friends. Like, to me, that's the old school way of courting was, hey, you befriend a woman, and well, I think there's just various ways to do it. That's never my style. I'm not going to pretend to be your friend for 10 years and then make my move. Besides wasting 10 years, that's like, I don't think that's advantageous, to what Stephanie and Shannon were speaking of. They're grown women and they want to know what direction it's going pretty quickly. And that way they can make some decisions. And that, men and women are different in a lot of ways, but I think we all should make our intent pretty clear pretty quickly when we're dealing with someone, right? I mean, some people are for fun and others are for some kind of connection and commitment and long-term relationship. And I believe that most of us know the lane. You know the lane a certain person is going to have in your life after a few conversations, after a few dates. It doesn't take a very long time to know if you can see yourself with this person in a certain way.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I agree
you
with
guys
that.
you guys can agree all you want, but we still have the same issues, right? And I'm not discounting what Brother Brooklyn is saying, but at the same time, like I don't know how my conversation is derailing the overall conversation, because we're talking about conversation. And the fact is when you already have a preconceived direction of where you want your life to head, unfortunately is in your head. It's not the reality, and it doesn't take scope of where the other person is at and what the other person wants. And I think that, we have to, like, even if it's not friendship, but just being able to, to be open to developing relationships, because it's a sacrifice, because, it seems like being in a relationship seems to be the issue. And having a relationship, it just seems it seems for some people to be the reason why they can't move forward in life. And, so are you willing to be a friend, or willing to just put down, not put down the expectations, but to put that aside just to get to know a human being and then go from there? Are you willing to sacrifice if that sacrifice is actually going to put you in a better space, make you feel better as an individual, where you don't feel like you're in a race for life? Because things have changed. We can go back and we can track historically. We could track how the court, Coventry, how the woman would take on the last name of the man and all this other stuff. So we have history of women becoming property of the man and becoming a part of one household. So I think we have this idea that we're still in the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, where you can get the perfect house and picket fence. But the reality is that things have changed. People have changed. And, and as much as we want to hold on to those old ideals, things are, we need to adapt to what's happening now. And I think that because people are secure in their lives, they have their jobs, they have their this and their that, there's no race to wanting to buy a home with someone. There's no race to getting into a marriage even. Maybe there's a race, the biological clock to have a child. I understand that. I can't speak for a woman. I can't speak for that experience. But, you know, at the same time, the man is not the one providing anymore. And, you know, a lot of these dynamics have changed. And there's a lot of brothers that will never meet on some women's lists because they don't make enough money, or they don't have, you know, good credit score. They don't have this or have that. So that's half the population that's out of the conversation, you know?
I mean,
You know why
true,
we're
Ryan,
laughing.
but
You know
I
why
don't
we're
think-
laughing,
I
right?
don't think anybody's knocking what you're saying. I think,
Mhm.
and I don't want you to take that offensively, that we can all be at this table and have varying opinions.
Of course,
I
of
think-
course. I'm
I
not
think the
upset.
I think the beauty of it is that we are all uniquely different, and we all want different things. And there's nothing wrong with the person who wants to jump head first into a relationship that has passion. I mean, because you really only need one person that equals the things that you're looking for. Now, sometimes that's harder to find, especially for us women.
That's a great point.
But it's not impossible. And there are people who are like you, who want to be friends and grow that friendship before, and then they see and foster a passion from that friendship.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with that either, which is why I said earlier, I think
Yeah.
there's room for both of those conversations, but it has to be what that person wants. And when you find somebody who's invested in what you want, pursue that thing.
All right, I'm gonna put my 5 cents in. So, I mean, so part of the conversation here has a problem, and is that we're almost trying to define something as if it's only one thing,
Mhm.
and it's not. Women are all different. Men
Yep.
are all different. I
Yep.
hate sports. I hate sports. I hate seafood. I hate, you know,
Did
a
you say you
variety of
hate
different things.
seafood?
See, there you go. Perfect example. So, so check it out. There's no one answer. There's no one solution, and not everybody's looking for the same thing. So the key in terms of entering a relationship is laying that portion out on the table. What does a relationship mean to you? In that
Yeah.
conversation, you might meet a Ryan, where he's going to say, well, I want to be friends first, this and that. In other conversations, you might meet someone who's like, yo, I just want to know that you're going to give it to me good, whatever that means. It might be somebody may be attracted to a guy who cooks, or it might be someone who's attracted to a guy who's intelligent, or it might be a guy who's strong. Everybody's going to be attracted and appeal to a different thing, and
Yeah.
to them, that defines what the relationship becomes and how
That's
it
a great
forms.
point.
It's the hard part is making those what their desires or what their picture of a relationship to line up with whatever the person they're talking to is. And if it lines up, then it has better potential working than having some weird ideology. So there is no single picture of a relationship. It's a multitude of pictures of relationships, and it's all about
Absolutely.
people finding what's the closest match to what they like and feel. Be introduced to somebody that might be different and might expose you to a whole different experience, and you might like that.
Yep.
So the most important portion about all that is A, how open-minded you may be, and 2, how much are you willing to settle for something that may not be what you wanted. And there's compromise. A part of that compromise is in communication. Part of that compromise is, did you really believe you're going to get what you were looking for? And how much are you willing to take something slightly different and be completely happy with that?
Yeah.
Great
Those are
points
great
there.
Very,
points.
very good points. We
Very
appreciate that.
insightful. Thank you, Carlos.
Those are great points. I mean, everyone is coming from the place of their experience and
Yep.
their knowledge, and you know, and it's important. I always say, you can't get what you want until you know what you want. You know, and it's pretty important to know what you don't want, right? You know, And it's not an attack on Ryan, but I haven't met a woman who wants to be Facebook friends for 10 years.
Yeah, but
and
that's
then
not.
holler.
But you're
I
you're
mean,
creating a narrative
you
that
could-
doesn't
it could
exist.
happen.
You're creating a narrative. I never said that. I said that we were friends for 10 years. We never ever looked at each other romantically. I didn't wait 10 years to holler at her. I don't have a problem hollering.
No, you said
Yeah,
she
but
hollered
you know
at
what?
you.
That's her business. I think at the end, yeah.
Carlos. I mean, Ryan, I'm not creating a narrative. I thought, at the time my Wi-Fi, I just put a new Wi-Fi router in, and I thought you said that you met the woman online on a dating website 10 years ago. She followed you on Facebook for a decade, and then she started hollering at you. You said she saw what you were doing, and then she decided to try to get into something with you, and you're getting to know her, and you're taking it from a friendship perspective, right? All I am saying is that I feel like her strategy was faulty. She could have told you 5 years ago or 9 years ago that she wanted
But
to holler.
what happened 10
You've
years? I had a
you look
kid
the same.
10 years ago.
You've been cute
I
the
had
whole time. So
several
I'm not-
relationships
I
10
don't
years ago.
understand
She
what
had
was waiting for.
relationships
That's all I'm saying.
several years ago. So it wasn't that she waited 10 years to get to know me. It was just an opportunity. All I'm saying is that, you know what? I think that sometimes people just need to take some time to get to know someone before they, like without bias and without expectations, and just to get to know a human being. And I don't think that is because I understand there are some transactional relationships, people that just want to form that union and they want to get it on and do it. But you know what? Let's look at the divorce rates. The divorce rates are climbing. So obviously this transactional relationship bullshit that I look at it doesn't work, because more and more people are going through custody battles or going through divorce. I kind of came to this conclusion because 2 years ago, I started a relationship and nearly lost everything that I built because of just wanting to be in a relationship so bad and not actually getting to know the person, and not actually just having, I was jet set that, hey, I wanted to get married, I wanted to do this and that, and nearly lost everything, lost myself. I regained myself, and I said, you know what? I'm never going to trade a person for, for the stuff that I've built and the relationships that I've built. I'm never going to do that again. And I think that I feel better about the situation. And again, I'm speaking for myself. I'm not expecting anyone to understand where I'm coming from, because obviously most of the times people disagree with me on this panel because I think outside the box. I think that we just need to learn sometimes just to put our reservations down and take all the bad relationships that we had in the past and leave that behind, and be open to love and be open to possibilities that may arise out of situations that are not planned and not cookie cutter and not strategized. Because it's human beings. We can't strategize human love. It just doesn't happen that way.
You feel like you rushed into that relationship 2 years ago? Do you feel like you rushed into that relationship?
Of course I did. But I think that, I think at the same time, it's not a matter of whether it was rushed or not. I think that it was the fact that, I think that friendship, I believe that friendship is the underlying factor. Whether you're courting or dating or whatever, you're still wanting to build something where you guys can get along, beyond meeting all the criteria. Because someone can meet all the criteria in your list, but you don't form a relationship with them because, you know what? You just don't like the way the person talks to certain people. You don't like what a person does. And therefore, you're back on the dating scene again, trying to find someone.
Can we talk about what happened,
Sorry?
Ryan? I appreciate you sharing. Can we talk about what happened? Like, what was it that you fell head over heels in love with her for? And then what was it that you didn't see? Like, did you miss the selfishness? Did you miss the anger issues or some ways
Well,
she
in
treated
this
you
particular
later,
situation,
like
I
she
was
treated-
just more interested in building an empire. I think my intentions were wrong in building the relationship. I wanted
okay.
to have that perfect individual. I had a checklist on what I wanted out of life because I'm an entrepreneur. I'm building my, I wanted someone that, I could build a business with. The girl was sitting in my bed and she said, "You know what, baby? I love what you're doing with the Hustle Zone. I love what you're doing here. I want to build a life with you. I want to build a destiny with you. I want to help you with your business." I was like, ding, 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 ding. Shit, I rushed that because I was like, you know what? You're everything that I need right now. You're everything that I want. You know what I mean? And
Can I add to something that you're saying, Ryan?
yeah.
All right. So there's a couple things that you said. Look at the divorce rate and stuff like that, and we can look at the divorce rate. But my understanding is that divorce rate is like 50%, which means, and then you said that some certain things don't work. Well, thing is, it works 50% of the time. So you got to look at the positive too. So there's the other 50%. So that clarifies that not everybody is pursuing things in the same reason, the same way, and with the same intent. Some people get married because maybe they got pregnant. Sometimes they get married because of a million different reasons other than wanting to get married. The other thing is that we have to understand you can try to have it be a friendship, and you can get into a friendship scenario, but something I always bring up in my lives is that 90% of the women I meet have been sexually molested, abused, used, cheated on. I mean, and the list goes on. So by time, especially now that I'm 50, I now have the understanding that the next person I meet more than likely is going to have some of that in their personality or in their experiences. And either they've dealt with it already or they haven't. And I have to figure out where I fall in that realm of their time in their life. And am I willing, do I have to deal with it and put up with it, or do I not and walk away? I mean, that is the reality of how it becomes very sophisticated to get into a friendship or even any kind of relationship with almost any woman. So it is very complicated. We can try to simplify it and call it friendship and stuff like that. But even as a friendship, sometimes you don't even want to deal with the baggage they may have.
Stephanie?
Brilliant points.
Well, I just wanted to say that, okay, well, to Carlos's point is that it goes for men and women. And I always say this, and I've said this on your show before. Everybody has problems. You just have to find somebody that has problems that you're willing to deal with.
Yep.
So that's very key. But I think the problem with what Ryan is saying, and I'm not anti-friendship. What I'm saying is that, Ryan, you kind of led with a situation that was sort of anecdotal. Something that you said was an anomaly. So it kind of tinged the conversation around friendship, because the first thing I said to you was, I don't want to be friends with somebody for 10 years and then try to holler. So it kind of changed the conversation a little bit, because that's way out of the realm of normalcy. Does that make sense? Does that make sense, Ryan?
Well,
where I'm coming from.
I can see where you're coming from, but still, I think from when you said, I'm not going to wait 10 years, that was not what I was trying to say, right? I wasn't trying to say that.
That was my point. Was
right.
Well, that was my point. Is that you led with an anecdotal situation, but we're talking about, the art of conversation and dating in general. There's always going to be anomalies. There's always going to be the person that slept with somebody on the first date and they were married for 30 years. There's always going to be somebody that, that doesn't fit the mold. What I'm saying is, in the grand scheme of things, in generally speaking from my personal experience, my mama, other women that I know, Shannon, women want security. We want to know where this is going. That's all I'm saying. Now, I will say, from Carlos' perspective, he's 50, he's a little bit older, and I have talked to some people where there are women that really do want sex. It's all they really want, but they're afraid to say it because of societal pressure, because of
what I've heard.
That they're perceived, the way that they're perceived, the way that they want to come off as, you know, being quote unquote a hoe or whatever the term you want to label them. You know, they kind of dance around the topic, but really and that's not the first time that I've heard that, especially around men in that age range. You know, they already have their life set. They're looking for, you know, and so I can definitely understand where Carlos is coming from. But Ryan, I just have to say that you led with a situation that was out of the norm, so it kind of tinged the way that we were like leaking this conversation. I think it's important to be friends, but I don't think that friendship and commitment, I think they can coexist. Or the direction toward commitment can coexist with friendship. That's
maybe I've not articulated myself well, but I think when I saw the title, The Art of Conversation, I think that the art of conversation starts from building that friendship. And I think that I'm not saying that friendship is a relationship goal. And whether I used an anecdotal situation or not, I just think that the bottom line is that we're not in a race, folks, anymore. Like the things, life traditions have changed. Now we just need to focus on really getting a good grasp of the individuals that we you know, get a good grasp of the individuals that we're talking to by having those conversations. And I think that, you know, whether you're in a romantic situation or you're not, you still have to build that friendship bond. Call it what, maybe we take the name out. Maybe it's not friendship. Maybe it's just better discovery and meeting the fact of just getting to know someone better and taking your time to get to know that person without rushing into what you have programmed in your head on what you want, you know, because I've never met anyone that lasted long in a relationship with, like, haven't met anyone that has had all these things set up in their mind of who their ideal partner is, never ended up with them. I don't see them.
Those are misplaced expectations. Perfectly true, Ryan. And a lot of us have those. And so it's the ability to let go of those misplaced expectations. It's the ability to truly be neutral in the expectation of who you are as a person and just showing up authentically, letting things happen organically. And, you know, hopefully if you're as eager as some of us are, myself included, that chemistry and passion and humor will also show up at that table.
That's right.
So those things are important.
I think part of what Ryan's trying to say, maybe you're right. He may not be articulating correct. My version of what he's saying is when I meet someone, there is the beginning of the process of becoming friends. I think it's our understanding of becoming friends that's the problem. In other words, because the way the young ladies here are speaking, becoming friends is almost like, well, now we have to become friends first. So that's almost like a certain small timeline, and then we can become a relationship. When in fact, what I believe Ryan is trying to say is the whole relationship is the entire process of becoming friends, where you become closer over the entire lifetime of the relationship.
That's right.
Because the whole process is pursuing this type of friendship. Not like friends that we meet at the bar where you kind of know them and that's it. You're not trying to get to know them forever. Here in a bonding type of relationship, the version of friendship that I believe he's talking about is the dynamic of getting to know someone in a very slow formed lifetime relationship.
And sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but in an unjudgmental way, because I find that we go into these conversations. Because I said this on Kente's show or on the Mars and Venus show, like probably a few weeks or maybe a month or so back, and I just started realizing I just took myself off of dating sites because I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go through my. I'm going to go through my friends list instead, and I'm going to just find people that I like that are single, and I'm going to pursue that.